Hello and welcome back to another edition of Open Air Atheist. I'm James Theodore Stillwell III, and this edition I just want to tell you a story to help you understand better the atheistic versus theistic positions. Hopefully this story will give you an illustration that will help you understand these positions a little better. Okay, there are two hikers, and these hikers are walking through the woods, and they stumble upon this garden, or something that appears to look like a garden, and it has all kinds of flowers and all kinds of beautiful plants. And one of the hikers says, "Wow, this is great. There must be a gardener that put this here. He must be a gardener that planted these plants here, obviously." And the other gardener says, "Well, I don't know. Let's find out." So they pitch their tents there, and they stay there for a whole week. And then one of them says, "There's no gardener. We've been here for a whole week. We've never seen a gardener in our experience. We've never seen one." And the other one says, "Oh, well, that's just because he probably comes at night and, tends the plants and all and such, and waters them." So, so the other one says, "Well, okay, fine. Let's set up traps. Let's set up all kinds of alarms and bells and all kinds of tin cans, and let's find out if he comes out at night." So that's exactly what they do. They wake up the next morning and they find out, wait a minute, there's no, everything's the same. So the one guy says, "Well, that's because the gardener he can fly, and he flew right over the traps." And the other one says, "Come on, this is ridiculous. First you said he comes at night, right? Then we found out that that's not true, and now you're saying he probably flies." He says, "Well, come on, man. How do you know? How do you know that maybe he doesn't climb trees and hop over the traps?" So they set up the next night. They set up traps all over, in the trees and everywhere. They set up nets. And there's just no possible way that anything could get in and out and not set off alarm bells and not get caught in nets. So, so they do this, and they wake up, and he's like, "Okay, well, everything's the same. We haven't caught anything in our nets. The alarm bells didn't go off. What's going on here? There's obviously no gardener. These things obviously grew here by naturalistic means. What's the issue?" The guy says, "I'm telling you, there's a gardener. I know there's a gardener. I know in my heart, I feel a burning in my bosom. There's a garden. There's a gardener here." And so, so he says, "This is ridiculous. I'm packing up my tent. I'm going home. There's obviously no gardener here." He says, "No, wait. See, you don't understand. This gardener is invisible. See, he's invisible, and he's transparent, so he can walk through the traps in the trees without setting anything off." And he goes, "This is ridiculous. This is absurd. Have you ever seen anyone who had such abilities? That's ridiculous. And anyone who claimed to have such abilities and didn't, would be considered a moron or someone who's insane, or joking." So, I mean, this is the difference between atheism and theism. One makes postulations to explain what could be explained naturalistically. And like I said in my prior video, people probably thought that, rainbows were magical when they first saw them. Oh, look at all these beautiful colors just floating in midair. And I mean, this is awesome. God must have did it, or the God of the sky, or whatever. And then we come to find out, as we progress as a human race and become more scientific about things, we come to find out that these are just reactions, of light particles with water particles. So this is, it's just like one more myth is, more and more myths are being refuted by science as time progresses, as humanity progresses. And this is the difference between the atheistic position and the theistic position. One says, okay, let's be rational, let's be logical about this. The other one just postulates needless, absurd ideas and deities to try to explain something that doesn't need absurd deities or ideas that don't occur in our everyday experience or in any of our experiences in recorded history, other than outright myths recorded in books and fairy tales and such. How do we know that any of these things actually happened? Is it just they just happened in Bible times and in these myth times, but now they just suddenly stopped happening? This is ridiculous. Okay, this is utterly ridiculous to expect someone to believe with no evidence. I'm just supposed to believe this. Otherwise, I'm going to hell. This is ridiculous. So, and I can see why Christianity, or some denominations in Christianity, would say, oh, well, without an outright act of God, you can't believe this stuff. Well, yeah, it's impossible to believe this kind of stuff unless you're brainwashed, unless you've been brought up and slowly brainwashed by these types of ideas. There's no way you're going to believe it. Even people, intelligent people that are in Christianity, many of these theologians will say, well, we don't really believe that, any of these miracles happened. These are just allegories. These are just, they're symbolic. Because they know themselves that it's too absurd to believe these things. So with that said, I'm out of here. You guys have a good night. And thank you for going on this little walk with me.